Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Journey to Bliss podcast. I am your host, Angela Thiru, and I'm so grateful to have you all join us today to welcome our special guest, Minerva Maharajh. Minerva is a certified life and spiritual coach, Reiki practitioner, Access Bars practitioner, and an instructor with the Life Purpose Institute. Previous to spiritual life coaching, Minerva had a professional career as a dancer and actress working for the NBA Toronto Raptors, CFL Argo Cheerleaders, numerous commercials, music videos, and live stage performances with celebrity artists. Although she experienced much success, Minerva realized she was not living her true purpose. After a 3-month soul searching journey, she discovered her path as a spiritual life coach. Now she owns a successful coaching practice called Goddess of Wisdom Spiritual Life Coaching, where she supports hundreds of clients through her private coaching program, Unleashed, and Eat, Meditate, Love retreats, where her clients experience their greatest transformations in the shortest amount of time. She is also the host of the Words of Wisdom podcast, which offers powerful spiritual insights and life guidance with practical tools. Minerva's purpose is to show others that it is possible to live heaven on earth through her talents of integrating one's unique spirituality in a real and tangible way. This process has been proven to bust through life's greatest challenges and achieve goals in 3 months or less. Wow. So, welcome, Minerva, and thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you and to share your story with everyone.
Oh, I'm so honored and excited to be speaking with you. Thanks, Angela.
No problem. So before we dive a little bit deeper into your story, I'd like for our audience to get to know you a little better. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are outside of, being a spiritual life coach? What would your friends and family describe you as?
That's a good question. So let me think. I'm trying to make this as concise as possible. Well, I'm a Pisces and I love long walks on the beach. But no, I really do. So I'm located in Pickering, Ontario. And as you mentioned, I was doing something totally different. And then through a soul searching journey, I discovered spiritual life coaching. And I remember just sitting on the couch, I just kept getting these intuitive downloads and I just kept pushing them out of my mind, and even in dreams and messages from other people. And finally one day I was like, okay, I'm just going to take it out of my head and write it on paper. And within an hour I had my business plan to become a spiritual life coach and to open that coaching practice. So anyway, so that happened. And since that happened, I absolutely love what I do. Outside of that, I'm married. We just celebrated our 4-year wedding anniversary, and we
Congratulations.
actually met when we thank you. We actually met when we were 7 years old. So he's my childhood sweetheart, and I have a daughter, Maya Luna, who's 14 months, and a dog, Tulip. And yeah, I love traveling and hiking and really connecting with nature and meditating. Like I really, I'm not just saying this is what I teach clients to do with meditation and connecting with nature as a small aspect of what I teach, but I actually embody it, like I live it. So what would my family and friends say about me? I think I'm a good listener, that I share wisdom, but I'm very careful about that. I don't push on my beliefs or what I think to other people. I really give space for people to come up with the answers for themselves, and supportive, and I think fun. I hope they say that. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Now, so tell us a little bit about the name Goddess of Wisdom. So I know the background to that and how that name came about. I find it really interesting, and I love that you use that name. But share with our audience where you got that name from for your coaching business.
So Minerva, which is my first name, the meaning of Minerva is goddess of wisdom, goddess of wisdom and war. So I always had a sense I would have a business named Goddess of Wisdom. I
Mm-hmm.
never ever in a million years thought it would be spiritual life coaching, because I was pursuing a career in film and TV since I was a little girl up until my 30s. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I was just like, how is that going to fall in my life? But I just trusted it. And yeah, so it's the meaning of my name, Goddess of Wisdom. And then I added spiritual life coaching because that's what I do.
That's beautiful and so fitting. It's just amazing how just life has a way of working things out, and the universe and destiny and all of that. And just, it's so fitting. Now, you mentioned that your journey to becoming a life coach happened in a matter of just days and moments. Take us back to that time. You said that, you spent 3 months just soul searching, trying to rediscover your purpose. Talk me through that experience. What was it like for you?
hmm So, as I mentioned, I was pursuing a career in film and TVs as an actress and dancer, and I did a lot of stuff. And this is what I always wanted as a kid. And very early on, I was auditioning, had an agent, and was booking professional jobs. So, this is what I thought I was doing for the rest of my life. I thought I achieved my dream. I'm living the dream, except that I wasn't. And I was waking up feeling this dread going into work. And at the time, I was working in a commercial production house downtown, which was with great people and a nice company. But when I first booked, I'm like, holy crap, like I booked my dream job. Like not only am I able to have a full-time job in the industry, I'm still able to go audition and book gigs and whatnot. So I really thought, I'm like, I had it. I
Mhm.
had it all, but it really didn't feel like it. And I was noticing after a while, I'm like, okay, like I'm waking up like Sunday night at 8 p.m. But when you're getting ready to like, get your stuff ready for the week, your food and your clothes and stuff. And I would just start crying. Like I have a great weekend and I would just have this dread, deep, dark feeling and just start crying. And every morning it just felt like this heavy feeling I just couldn't shake. And like a turning feeling in my stomach, even when I was going to auditions, even when I was on set. I remember one of my last commercials I booked, I was on set crying because it just didn't feel right. I'm like, this is supposed to be my life. Like, this doesn't make sense. How is this my purpose? How is this supposed to be my life's work if I'm not enjoying it? And I didn't feel like I was living up to my full potential or what I was meant to do. I wasn't happy. So it just didn't make sense to me that this is what I said I'm going to do. This is what I've pursued my entire life, but I'm unhappy. Like it just didn't make sense. So I was like, okay. And it was a scary thought and a decision to be like, I had to hit rock bottom before I finally said, okay, like if this is not what I'm meant to do, then spirit tell me and I will do it. Like I was willing to give that up for something else because I just wasn't happy and I was just depressed and anxious and I just wasn't my best self. So I was getting married and I remember like the last year of being in the industry, I was like begging my husband, like, I want to quit my job. I am not happy. And we were paying for two weddings. We did a Hindu wedding, Catholic wedding. Not that we're religious.
Right.
That's a whole other topic. But we were paying for, saving for our wedding, which was a big thing at the time for us. And I couldn't afford to quit my job. And I was just like, man, I was like so mad, like going into work. I have to work. So anyways, after we got married, the wedding's paid off. We were renting. We didn't have kids. So my husband was just like, why don't you just quit and figure out what you want to do? And I'm like, really? Like, oh my God. And I got so excited and literally I got back from my honeymoon and I quit. And I remember even writing in my resignation letter because I wanted to leave on good terms and it
Mhm.
wasn't anything they did or anything. So I even wrote, and I had no idea, like no clue what I was going to do. And I remember writing, trying to lighten up the letter in a way of saying, maybe I'll go on a meditation retreat or something. Cause I think it blindsided them. They didn't expect this. So
Right.
I was just trying to leave in the most, positive ways possible. So I remember writing that and it just for some reason flashed in my mind now, just how you intuitively know, like, even though on the forefront you're not happy and, it's
Mhm.
heavy and, maybe leading with the ego, but there's always that little voice whispering little, drops of wisdom and hints along the way. So yeah, so I quit and I literally, it was the best feeling. Like I was like, okay. I woke up and the first day off the job and I was like, okay, what I'm going to do. And I meditated. I went for walks on the beach. I journaled. I found whatever exercise I could find online about new careers, finding your purpose. There are a few coaches and courses that I followed, and I worked with a Reiki master at the time and just did whatever I needed to do to feel good.
Mhm.
And I just believed, and I was always had my spiritual practice. I always leaned into that to help me with my old career at the time. But I never, this is my first time really leaning into it to like, okay, like spirit lead the way and I will follow was my mantra. And whatever intuitive feels I got, messages, signs, I just kept following it, like one step at a time. And like I remember having a dream set, and I was at a retreat in this dream, and it was with my old life coach. And she came to the retreat and she wasn't prepared. She goes, Minerva, you go teach the retreat. And I was a guest at the retreat. And in my dream, I was like, okay, I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And there was just this feeling. So I remember telling my friend and Reiki practitioner at the time, and she was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like people were just like, all of these signs were coming,
Right.
Something around the spiritual path. And then as I shared, just finally after 3 months of literally doing whatever I can to feel good, to keep myself in that open, good feeling space for the answer to come. Because I trust it's going to come. Like I just believed, even when I didn't believe, I believed, if that makes sense. Like maybe there's the moments you have doubt, but in the heart of hearts, I'm like, I'm here for a purpose. There's gotta be a greater, a greater job here for me,
Yeah.
and something that I'm good at. I have to be good at something. And, yeah. And then finally it all came together and I got that intuitive download and I just went after it. And one more thing I should share is one of the exercises I was following, courses I was following at the time, one of the exercises was to email your 3 to 5 people that know you best and ask them 3 questions. And I'm going to try to reframe these questions. But one of the questions was, what do you thank me for? What am I good at? And if I could be anything, what do you see me doing? And like all of them said, motivational speaker, counseling, a coach, writing books, something like that. And I was like pissed because I was like, I couldn't even see myself as, I had no idea that was for me. But I remember being like, what the hell? No one sees me as a successful actress. Like I was just mad. But when I literally looked back at these questions the other day and was like, whoa, like, people saw it. The signs were there. The breadcrumbs are always there. And yeah, I finally surrendered to it. It came finally I put all the intuitive downloads, the dreams, the messages, everything that was in my head, these inspired thoughts, and I put it down. And the minute I had it all on paper, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And I told my husband, and basically what it came down on the paper was coaching with meditation. And that was like the gist of it. And I didn't know that even existed. I actually never even experienced it. So I actually thought I came up with this new profound thing. And little did I know there actually was a school for spiritual life coaching, which now I'm teaching at, which is
Amazing.
beautiful how it all came around. But yeah, that's where that's. Sorry, really long
No,
answer, but
absolutely. That is such a beautiful story. And
thank you.
just hearing it just speaks to what can happen for anyone and everyone if you just surrender and trust and believe, like you said, even in those moments where you don't believe it, but just really know that there's a greater purpose for your life and continue seeking and seeking and seeking and not giving up, which you didn't. You knew that, yes, I love my job, but there's something greater for me. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And you were blessed enough to be able to quit that job in order to allow yourself to rediscover and spend time soul searching. But for people who are in a similar situation where, they're in a 9 to 5 or they're in a career where they also don't feel like this is for me, they dread waking up and going to work. Um, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to, not how to quit, but can I quit? Where do I find the time to soul search? What kind of advice would you give for somebody like that if they're just really just in, down in the dumps and not sure where to turn anymore?
Mm-hmm. So it's a great question, and I do have some tips for that. So number one is to make a decision that I am meant for more. and I am going to go after that. I am going to discover it. It's setting that intention, making a clear decision for yourself. Number two is we all need stability. And this is, you do hear those stories that, oh, I was broke, I was homeless, I was sleeping on someone's couch before, someone had their quote unquote overnight success. So it's not about that. And be careful not to feel like you have to have that story. And I think, and I have girlfriends who say this to me too. They're like, I don't see myself starting a business. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. And I don't want to quit my job, like my stable job, which is with a good income. But I feel like, I'm not doing my life's work. I don't feel like I'm doing my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what the problem is sometimes is that we think it needs to be this big, grand story,
Mm-hmm.
and just make it your own story. So do what you can to feel good in the moment. So if that's staying in your job, stay in your job. And I think that's very important, is stay in your job. I don't think anyone should, for most cases, quit your job unless it's very destructive and abusive and it's really not good for your mental health and your emotional and physical health. Then that's a different story. But do what you can to have that sense of safety and security in a healthy way, to have your bills and necessities paid, so you do feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
End of the day, there's still 24 hours in a day. You're working 8-9 hours out of the day. You have a lunch, like make the most of it. So you designate, even if it's an hour or 2 hours out of the day, you come home and work on that thing. Go, work. You can work with a coach. You could meditate. You can go to yoga. Do what you can to feel. You can work on a course. Do something that even you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be the thing that you're meant to do. But I find if you're in the state of feeling good, whether that's going to the gym or going to yoga or going to a dance class or playing the piano or whatever that makes you feel good, do that. Do whatever you can to feel good, because it's in that space where you elevate your energy. When you release resistance, that the answer will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
100%. And those are all some of the things that I've done too for myself. And I wanted to add, because you mentioned something really great about, everyone thinking that, to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur, you have to like quit your job and, be completely broke in order to go down that path. And absolutely not. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. When I did that, when I quit my job, I quit it because it was very toxic. I was getting physically ill.
Yeah.
I was miserable. Did I want to quit it? No. Did I feel like I had to? Absolutely, for my sanity and for my health? Yes. But what I did is, when I left my project management job, I went and I found another job that wasn't as intense, that wasn't as demanding, in a more safe environment, if you will, because I needed that stability. I needed to feel safe. I needed to not have that stress or that burden of like, well, how am I going to pay for my bills? I'm starting a business. So yes, absolutely. Stay in the job, stay in wherever you are, and continue building on that if you can. Because quitting the job and then adding that stress of like the finances to building a business is just going to make things worse.
Yeah, you're not going to find the answer by being
You're not going to find
stressed.
the answer. Exactly, 100%.
And if I can add one more thing, because I think this is important for people to know, is if you are, and often we are, like most people who are looking for that next step in their life's work. For me, I wasn't happy, and the environment wasn't always high vibrating. So what do you do if you are in a toxic environment, where you are working with toxic people? Instead of just up and quitting, another thing you can do, which falls into do whatever you can to feel good. What I started doing was sending love. And as corny as it sounds, I remember it was Louise Hayes or something. Yeah, I believe it was Louise Hayes. I was listening to a meditation on my way to work. And that's one thing you do. Podcasts, just keep filling your mind with things that, something will just light bulb for you. But I started sending love up the stairs, sending love to my desk. And I started sending love to the coworkers, even the one I wasn't getting along with at the time. And I'm just being real, but I
Yeah.
just started creating this space of love, and I started shifting vibrationally when I was there, so that I was in a place of gratitude, because end of the day, it was serving me. It was
Yeah.
helping me pay the bills. They were very supportive of me and whatnot. So it was somehow shift from getting from that low vibrating place of
Mhm.
fear and hate and anger and sadness or depression, whatever you're feeling. And you can shift and just climb the scale and get there vibrationally, at least get to a neutral place. Start showing
Absolutely.
gratitude, start showing
100%.
love,
Yeah.
and start preparing for your exit. And I didn't know what my exit would be, but I started taking things home,
Mhm.
like my things, like that belong to me, my books and what my little like affirmations. I started sending a message to the universe like, hey, it's my exit out. And then lo and behold, my husband's like, how about you quit? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, because you
So
knew it
yeah.
was on its way, so you prepare yourself for it. When you were telling me about this, about just sending love and doing that while working in an environment that is not so healthy, it
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of The Secret, and I'm sure you've watched it, and hundreds and thousands of other people have watched it, and it reminds me of the story they were telling with there was one man in particular who was getting bullied and stuff like that at work, and he started listening to I can't remember what it was, basically what the law of attraction speaks of, and he started
Mm-hmm.
listening to this tape over and over again to help change his mindset and his vibration and his energy around that. And so what happened was that um, the people that were the coworkers that were, just being bullies and hateful towards him ended up leaving. So he didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually have to leave his workplace and go find somewhere else to work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because he shifted his energy and shifted his mindset and started, believing in something, in a positive change,
Mm-hmm.
he attracted that into his life. So that is an example, a perfect example of what you can do if you are in a toxic environment, is really try to elevate your energy by, spreading more positivity, spreading more love. I used to do this thing where we had this within our team, we had this kind of a board where you can write stuff on, and every day we go in and just write some type of like positive quote or something on it. And some of my coworkers were like, oh, that's so cool. And then you'd have a random coworker walk by and just kind of make a joke or be like, oh, that's so dumb. But I continued doing it. Why? Because I realized that more and more people were like, wow, that's really cool. Or their energy would change, and it would just be something that somebody needed. They needed to see that, or it would just change their energy or their attitude. So we can do what is within our control,
Mm-hmm.
by sharing the love, by spreading the positivity, by sharing whatever we can to make our space safe. So before, I mean, I can go on and on talking about this, but
Yeah.
that's an excellent tip, Minerva. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to dive a little bit deeper into um, some of the pivotal moments and experiences in your life that brought you to where you are today and also shaped you into the woman that you've become. So if you have any, you know, moments or experiences that come to your mind, that would be amazing if you can share that with us.
Hmm. So definitely how I discovered spiritual life coaching. So that's been one pivotal point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's there's a few others, but I'll talk about one other is becoming a mom for sure. And I had these preconceived notions of what it would be like to become a mom, and I had all these fears, and as I'm sure a lot of mothers do, and fathers too, any parent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. And I think one of my fears go becoming a mom was I don't want to have to give up what I do. I don't want to have to give up my dreams. I don't want to have to give up myself. And it was a blessing because when my Luna came, it's what everyone says. It's like you can't even describe the love. However, as not however, but like in terms of how it affected me is what I'm saying is it was a huge, I think one of the a big shedding of the ego and of the old self. And I was so aware in it of all the fears going into it, and having her like was the most incredible experience. Literally, I can remember just lifting her and putting her on my chest. Like it's it was like time just expanded, I want to say. Actually, I don't want to say stood still. Like I just remember me and her just like our eyes just like met. But that moment in time it was such like a pinnacle point in my life, because it was just the beginning of so much greatness and so much shedding and so much of the old, and me stepping in and expanding, really is what it is, like expanding into who I am right here right now, someone I love. And I loved myself before, and I've had process like when I was in my 20s of not being the most lovable self, not loving myself. But I mean, who I am right now, I feel like I've stepped into a greater, higher version of myself, what I've been always wanting to be. And my daughter has helped me with that. And when I say that, it's not to be like, oh, isn't that so sweet and lovely? How easy. No, it was messy and it was ugly. And, there's days I'm like, this is hard. My life will never be the same. I will have to give up myself. And that's what hurt me the most. And that was just a perspective, right?
Yeah.
So a point of view that wasn't serving me. But really, I do feel like for me, it took a lot of breaking down in order to build up, a lot of shedding of the old identity. And it's uncomfortable to go through that process. It's messy, it's ugly, it doesn't feel good, but it's so freeing. And there's still a way to be grounded in that as you're in the middle of it, in the middle of the transition. And yeah, and who I have stepped into this expanded highest version of me, who is open to possibilities, full of possibilities, and this energy and abundance of time and everything that I've ever wanted, and more is possible. So I share that in hopes that when people are afraid to let go of the old, um you have to let go of the old to step into what it is you want, to be in vibrational alignment to it. And it may not be what you think. It's often not the way you think. It's not going to go according to plan.
It
um
never does.
and it's yeah, it never does. But it goes better. And you just have
Yeah.
to embrace it, and you will come out. You just have to be willing to let go of the old to really step in to the highest and best version of you, and step into and really receive what it is you want, whether it's relationships, a family, that job, right? Like that career. Like I had to be willing to let go of what I worked for since I could remember. And that's what I carried into my 30s. Like there was no changing. That's what I worked my entire life for.
Yeah.
So it's scary and it's uncomfortable, but it takes courage. And anyone, if I can do it, anyone could do it. And there's like everyone could do it. We've done it. So yeah.
Absolutely. As a mother, because now that I know from being an aunt and seeing my siblings and what they go through. Um, Being a mother has its own challenges and fears that come along with that. But knowing what you know now and having gone through your own self discovery and self development, how do you prepare your daughter for her future so that she, not that you can prevent what she's going to go through, but to help her on her journey? What are some things that you're starting to sort of implement into her life at an early age?
Oh, that's a great question. So my oh, sorry, it's a little feedback there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's
So my mission for her, my vow to her, is to help maintain her light. And what I mean by that is to nurture and honor and allow her to be her true authentic self, and do anything I can to preserve that, because she comes in so untainted. She has no fears. no limiting beliefs, none of that we've been conditioned to. So being a spiritual life coach, I'm so mindful of how that baggage gets added onto our lives. And I just want to be as conscious as possible to not give her that, giving her limited beliefs. And now it's hard, right? Like I'm still human, but I'm very mindful in terms of the words I say around her, and the people and the energy she's around too. But back to your question is, what I'm going to teach her is really to stay connected to that true authentic self. And you do that through spirituality. And so I'm just going to do my best to, teach her as much as I can, but also to empower her and give her the space to choose, so that, she is connected to her intuition, so she can sense if something is off, so that she can express her feelings. Tell me when she's sad, tell me when she's mad. And I'm going to teach her how to explore those feelings. I'm going to teach her how to communicate that. I'm just going to do whatever I can to give her the tools. I think that down the road, like, there's the moments of, oh my God, like I have to send her to school one day. She's going to go on public transportation one day. And those things didn't bother me before, until now I'm like, oh my God, my baby's one day going to be away from me. And the best gift that I can give to her, and, and even I've been in bad relationships. So that's another, I don't want to say fear anymore, because I've come to peace with, like, okay, she has her process. She's here. She has her own soul learning to do. Right. So that gives really, spirituality just is really what helps me ground again. So just helping her stay connected to her spirituality and her true authentic self. And really, the number one thing I hope to impart in her is that she is so worthy and she is so loved, and not by just me and anyone else. I want her to know that truth within herself, because I feel like when you are connected to that, you make wiser decisions when it comes to your partners, the guys you date, right? And we laugh because we've been through that. Because there's times I didn't really love myself, and obviously I picked the worst partner ever. Not who I'm with now, but in the past, the ex-boyfriend. But I really feel like it comes down to how much we love ourselves and how connected we are to our light. And when you are connected to that, you make the right decisions, or I don't want to say right, but the highest and best decision in your partner and your life work. And do I go down this street, or should I be friends with this person? And I think that's the best gift I can give her. And I hope that I give that to her.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that you will. With your clients, or just anyone in particular, just, with what you share through your work, how do you help make spirituality practical for everyone? Because I feel like that is something that when people hear the word spiritual or spirituality, it can intimidate them. They're not sure how to implement that, how to start a practice. What are some tips that you give to your clients to help them make that more easy and just more practical for them?
Yeah, so I think number one is taking out the stigma in it. And the way I do that is really meeting them with where they're at and what they believe. And so some people, a lot of my clients come to me, they've been raised Catholic or, any organized religion, but they don't follow it anymore. So, and a lot of them do have stigma to it, where they're like, I don't want to, because it's so shame-based and guilt-based, and it's not what I believe, what God, higher source, power, whatever you want to name it, intended it to be. There's beautiful aspects to it, but what I do is help them discover what it means for them. It's not me pushing on anything onto them. It's helping them connect to the energy, the spirit of who they really are, because we are spirit beings in a physical body. And I know that because I spoke to my daughter's spirit before she came into physical form. And I could feel that even with my grandparents who have passed. You hear that, right? Their spirit is with you. And we tend to say these things and not even really connect to what they mean. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. But back to the question. Let me just retract in my brain. Yes, how do I connect them? So it's really helping them connect, reestablish what spirituality means to them, and based on every religion past that my clients have had, it
Mhm.
always comes down to love. And they reestablish what that higher power is to them, what it means to them. And again, this is not me saying this is what it is, this is what you should believe it, and trying to convince
Right.
anyone. I just meet them where they're at. We work through whatever blocks and limiting beliefs they have around it, and we clear the judgment, and we create a space for them to physically actually experience, based on the spiritual processes I have, where they connect to God and higher power and universe, whatever it is, whatever spiritual connect word they use. And they establish that connection, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it means to them. And with our sessions, we tap into that where they are tapping into it themselves. And through my guidance, through facilitating, they can ask a question to get an answer to any question that they have. So that's one way of making it practical, something that they can walk away with at the end of our sessions. And I get emails all the time. I get like, what do you call it? Instagram direct messages, and like, I still do this meditation. Like, our sessions mean so much to me. And when people check in with me, they're like, I still refer to ego and essence work that we've done. And so what I teach them and what I facilitate with them are tools they can use for a lifetime in any area of their life. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
I
That's
love
how
that.
we
Yeah,
take
of
the
course.
intangible into something tangible.
Mhm. And it's basically just helping them break down what they know and what they believe in, and just kind of helping them understand that, just breaking it down for them basically and helping them through that. Now, some of the modalities that you use, I mentioned earlier on the podcast, you're a Reiki practitioner as well as an access bars practitioner. Can you tell us a little bit about each of those and how you use that in your practice?
Sure. So I'm certified as a life and spiritual coach. So it's another way how I make it practical, because we do, limiting beliefs and break patterns and behaviors, and reshape the behaviors and stuff like that. So we bring in the life aspect and the spiritual aspect. I have different spiritual tools and techniques that I do with that. And a part of that, I also bring in Reiki and access bars. So Reiki is basically me being a channel of universal healing energy. So I am attuned to that energy, and it flows to me and through me and to the client. So it's like it looks like a treatment table, like a massage table. But
Hmm.
it's gentle touch or no touch, depending on the client's preference. And they basically just come, and it's part of my coaching program. I do life coaching with energy work. I don't just do one or the other. So it's within the program, and that's how my clients experience that full transformation, because we're tapping in on the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual side. So with Reiki, what it does, the way it shows up for me, I mean, I'm trained through Transformational Arts College for Reiki, but the way it shows up for me is I can see where there's blockages in the chakra centers, so your energy
Hmm.
centers. Sometimes I receive like a message, like a word or an image, um, of what the client needs to work on, what their next steps are. So it's basically, and then Reiki flows to that area, wherever there's blockages, or whatever areas need support to get rebalanced energy. Reiki energy will go where it needs to go. So it's healing energy. And access bars is, I love this one. So I even go to people to get this done through the person who taught me, Laura Armstrong.
Hmm.
Um, and basically what access bars is gently touching 32 points on the head, and it releases years and years and even different timelines of stored limiting beliefs, assumptions, considerations, things that are blocking. So basically it's like deleting the hard drive on your computer, and you get up off of the bed and you feel like a brand new person, and you're really in a state of receiving, that you can't even go back to the old person unless you choose that.
Oh, wow. I love that. I've
So
never
yeah,
actually heard of access bars, so that sounds really interesting. I might even come to you
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I would love to. It really opens up your consciousness, and you're just aligned with pure consciousness, pure conscious
I love
energy.
that. I love that so much. Are there any special projects or anything that you're working on right now that you'd like to share with our audience? Just wondering, what are some things that you're curious about right now in terms of the path that you're taking your business on, and just overall yourself and your business? Where do you envision yourself going with this?
Definitely doing this. I can say for sure I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Right now in the capacity I'm doing one-on-one coaching. I do have a podcast called Words of Wisdom where it offers practical spirituality. So it offers life and spiritual guidance along with some what I call fun soul work. So people could implement spirituality in a real tangible way in their life to experience a shift. So I have that podcast, and on top of my coaching, I'm starting to teach at Life Purpose Institute. So if for some reason coaching resonates with someone and they are considering starting a practice, they can check out Purpose Institute. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And so I'm teaching, I'm coaching, I'm speaking. I'm not doing public speaking at the moment, but I have
Mhm.
my podcast platform, and I'm in the process of writing a book. So I'm hoping next year I'm putting it out there in the universe. Next year it'll be
Amazing.
finished.
It's a
Yeah.
done deal.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I listened to a couple of your episodes. It's amazing, guys. Go check it out. It's Words of Wisdom. Why don't you let us know where else we can find you? So you're on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle?
Goddess of Wisdom Coach.
Okay.
And it's the same thing on Facebook,
Okay.
facebook.com/Goddess of Wisdom Coach. And then my website, goddessofwisdom.ca. And yeah, it has everything there, how to
And
contact
and
me if
your
any.
podcast is also available on those platforms as well.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Minerva. It's been a pleasure having you today.